Hello and welcome to the newest installment of No Refunds. I am PG Cooper.
And I'm HT Schuyler.
And today we'll be looking at one of Schyler's personal favorite trilogies, and with the Naked Gun trilogy. And we thought after doing an Evil Dead marathon, it'd be fun to do another marathon, and we thought Naked Gun would be fun. We couldn't really think of an occasion for it, but to hell with it. We wanted to watch some good comedies, and there wasn't really much playing in theaters within that genre, so Naked Gun it was.
The Naked Gun trilogy I've been a fan of since I was very young. The three movies are three of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, to some of the sequels to lesser extent, but no, I'm a huge fan of the series. The movies, for those of you who don't know, are The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad, which that came out in like 1988.
88.
And the second one, The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, came out in 1991. And then Naked Gun 33 1/3, The Final Insult, came out in 1994. They were helmed, I guess, by Leslie Nielsen, the late and great, rest in peace. For those of you who don't know, I'm a huge fan of Leslie Nielsen. He's one of my all-time favorite actors and like a personal hero of mine. So I obviously I love these movies.
Yeah.
And anything to say?
Well, going in, you had seen all three.
I'd seen all three of them, yeah, multiple times.
I had seen the first one once, and I think I'd probably seen bits and pieces from all of them, on TV and such throughout, but I had only sat down and watched one of them once all the way through, and that was the first one. And when I watched it, I really liked the first one, and I don't know, not to get into my review early, but it held up really, really well. So, do you just want to dive into the first one then?
Do you want me to go first? Or?
Sure.
The Naked Gun, The Files of Police Squad, is directed by David Zucker. It was written by him, his brother Jerry Zucker of Ghost fame, and Jim Abrahams, I believe. It tells the story of Lieutenant Frank Drebin and the hilarious adventures that he gets into. There's a plot to assassinate Queen Elizabeth II as she comes to visit Los Angeles, and all concludes with an epic ball game where, I don't know, just...
hilarity ensues.
Yeah, hilarity ensues. I love this movie. I don't really know what I can say about it that I haven't said multiple times before. I mean, the story isn't very deep. It's very simple. It doesn't do anything amazing direction-wise or anything artistic, but the film is funny as hell. Like, it is literally probably the funniest movie I've ever seen, actually. It's probably... I think it's just pure gold. Like, every joke, to me personally, works. I mean, even, like, the weaker ones I still get a chuckle out of. Like, the big ones really, like, pack a punch, and there are so many set pieces that are just amazing. And then they all lead up, and you're like, how can they keep topping it? And then they get to the baseball scene, and it tops it. It's like, it's the best ending to a film. The film just keeps topping itself, and, like, Leslie Nielsen's amazing. As Frank Drebin, like, the comedic delivery is impeccable. The supporting characters, Priscilla Presley as the love interest Jane. She plays the kind of ditzy dumbass very well and is very funny. George Kennedy plays Lieutenant or Captain Ed Hawken, who is his partner, I suppose. Who Academy Award winner, right?
Yes.
Academy Award winner George Kennedy, and no, he's really, really funny, and the two get along. The two have great chemistry together. It's really fun watching them. It's like the ultimate buddy cop movie, I guess, except they don't really bicker. It's just like... O.J. Simpson, the acclaimed actor. O.J. Simpson.
Notorious wife murderer, O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, plays Officer Nordberg, who he's not in the first one.
Was Nordberg his last or first name?
Probably his last name.
Yeah.
Last name, because they refer to his wife as Mrs. Nordberg. But no, he's very good for the... I mean, he's not in it that much. He's in the sequels more, but this one he just sort of... he's in small bits, but no, he's really funny. Ricardo Montalban, Khan himself, plays... Vincent Ludwig.
I'm surprised you remember all the names. Like,
no, I love this movie.
Oh yeah, I know, but like,
not so much for the sequels, but for this one, I know most of it, and I'm sure if I made some tiny mistake, someone will correct me on it, which they should. But no, Ricardo Montalban is awesome. Just, he plays it so serious, but like you can tell he's kind of just kidding at the same time. Like you can tell like he's not like trying to give like an Academy Award winning performance, but at the same time he plays it very, very well and very straight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of who else is in it that is notable. I think those are all the main guys. I mean, there's smaller characters. Ed Williams plays Ted, the gadget guy, who has a very funny scene.
I like Ted a lot.
Yeah,
like in all the movies, I like Ted. He's
yeah, no, he is delivery, and I like how like the police department that they go to, like all the guys like working there are sort of like, you know, in their 30s, 40s, kind of like, you know, tough looking guys, and it shows like the main cast, and they're like in like their 60s and 70s, and they're like the people helping police squad. But no, it's just I don't even know. I don't know how to review this movie by instead of just like praising the hell out of it. Like it's such a fun movie. Like I can watch it like nonstop, just all day, and I will not get tired of it. I will still be laughing my ass off. Every joke I find holds up. The film does not feel dated at all, even though it came out like 30 years ago. But no, I think this film is actually superior to Airplane, which came out in 1981, I believe, which was also directed by David Zucker and I think Jerry Zucker as well. But no, I love Airplane. I think Airplane is brilliant, but I think Naked Gun holds up a lot more, and the jokes are much more fluent and frequent. And they just everything just holds up. Like I can't imagine someone watching this and not getting a couple chuckles out of it.
You mentioned comparisons to Airplane, and they're very similar in humor, but I think, like you said, I think Naked Gun is much better. And one of the things, like a lot of people, this sense of humor just isn't for them, and that's understandable. But I feel like Naked Gun is just more enjoyable because there's a charm to it that Airplane doesn't have, and I think most of that comes from Leslie Nielsen because he's so likable. Like even if you don't find all his comedic routine funny, I can't imagine watching him and not just liking him.
Yeah, no, there are scenes where it just closes up on his face, and he's not even doing anything. He's just sort of looking at the camera, and I'm laughing. It's funny. He has such a charming quality to him.
But like Airplane doesn't really have that to me. Like I think Airplane's okay.
No, the main protagonist, Robert Hayes, I believe the actor's name is. His character's name is Ted Stryker, and he's nowhere near as likable as Nielsen. Like Nielsen is more likable in Airplane than Ted is. He's actually kind of an annoying bitch for the most part. Like don't get me wrong, he has some great moments, but he's nowhere near as good as Nielsen. And I'm not belittling Airplane for not being as good as a movie that came out 7 years after it, but no, I just think that I feel like the Naked Gun series, like most people who know it, especially the first one, like really like it and praise it. But I feel that Airplane is always the one that people talk about when they talk about Leslie Nielsen, which I think is unfortunate because he's been in a lot of movies, and I think that this trilogy is his like. These are his masterpieces, in my opinion. But everyone always talks about Airplane, that one line, "Don't call me Shirley," haha, yeah, whatever. But, and while he's great in Airplane, he really is. I don't know, I think that these movies are, kind of overlooked.
And they're more representative of his talents because he carries the movies. He carries the entire series because, not to get into the sequels now, but he is the main strength in those ones that keeps those movies afloat.
Oh, yeah. So. You could not make the movie without Nielsen. Like, God forbid they ever try to remake any of these movies or make a sequel, because you can't do it. Without Nielsen, it can't be done. I refuse to believe it can't be done.
I agree.
And I don't want to see it done.
It was like the main reason, like, not to say that there's no talent outside of Nielsen, there's a lot of good, like, the writing is pretty sharp, there's some good sight gags, and things that would still be funny if Nielsen wasn't there, but he elevates... Because he's in almost every scene, and he elevates every single scene he's in just by being there. And his reactions to things, and his line delivery is just so perfect that, And he's why you watch them. It's like doing a sequel to, not that these are on the same scale quality-wise, but like Ace Ventura without Jim Carrey, which they did with Detective Jr.
If I ever see a Naked Gun Jr., I will... I don't know. I'll write a very angry letter to my congressman.
But it's like that, and like mostly with comedies too, where like the leading man doing their thing is the main appeal. Doing a sequel without them defeats the purpose of the movie at all.
Yeah, no one watches Ace Ventura for like the gripping story and like action set pieces and stuff. No, you watch it for Jim Carrey. Naked Gun, you can watch it for other elements, but the main reason you watch it is for Leslie Nielsen. I'm not saying that like you don't like. You can watch it not knowing who Leslie Nielsen is or whatever, but like the main high point is Leslie Nielsen. Like he's the one that sells it, and yeah, like without him, it's still a funny movie, but I can't imagine the line
It's not the
delivery.
classic.
Yeah,
So I think I do like this movie a lot. I do think it is a great movie. It's the only one of the three I think is a great movie, quotation marks. But I'm probably not as in
why
love
the
with it as you.
quotation marks?
Well, just because like I don't know. I have a very specific way of calling movies great. Like I've like a standard for it. If it's an A minus or higher, it's officially a great movie. Is how I look at it. And Naked Gun makes that. Don't ask, okay?
Okay.
Anyway, Naked Gun to me is a genuinely great film, and I don't think it's. I'm not in love with it as you are. I don't think all of the jokes work. There's a few, not a lot. Most of them do, and the ones that don't work are sort of like, well, it doesn't matter that it doesn't stop the movie, and there's never like an awkward moment where it just stops.
Just curious, what jokes do you think didn't work? Like, are there any that stood out?
Well, I guess one that stood out is the scene where he's peeing and the microphone's on, which is a funny scene. I don't think some of the like the fart noises and stuff were unnecessary and stuff like that. There's little things like that, like they're really small.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, that kind of humor kind of delves into like lowbrow kind of like Sandler humor, but I don't care. I still think it's funny.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. There's never like jokes where I'm like, okay, that was really awkward. And there's so many classic comedy scenes, like, because to me the mark of a great comedy isn't just that it makes you laugh, it's that you remember those laughs. Like, there are most of my favorite comedies, I can remember many set pieces and jokes and lines and characters. I'm like, that part specifically really made me laugh. And Naked Gun is like that. The Something Tells Me When It's Something Good montage, which is hysterical. The safe sex scene, Let Me Slip Into Something More Comfortable. There's so many things that just like stick with you. And that's, I don't know, I guess a criticism, I mean, it's sort of the nature of the beast with this kind of movie, is it is extremely shallow. I mean, not that, it almost feels unfair to criticize it for that, and I'm not really, I'm just sort of stating what it is.
I don't know, should we talk about the acting, or like, I don't know.
Well, there's really not much to say, I don't think. Everyone's pretty good for what they're doing.
I don't think there's any weak links.
No, I don't think so either.
O.J. Simpson, he's not an actor, he's a football player, but...
And he's fine.
I think he does a good job. I mean, I know, later went on into negative stuff, but that was before this movie.
And if
okay? He was a nice guy at the time, for sure.
And if you can't get over that, that's like, it's not the movie's fault.
Yeah, it's like watching Lethal Weapon and being like, oh, I don't know, Mel Gibson went on to be a racist. It's like, yeah, but like, this movie came out long before that.
And even if it didn't, I mean, good film... Good art surpasses the artist that creates it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not like anyone's watching the movie for O.J. Simpson, or I don't. maybe they are. I don't know. That's
O.J. Simpson is. Anyway,
I don't know. Overall thoughts and conclusion.
Well, I'm gonna give it an A-. I think it's a pretty great comedy. Light comedy, but it is very funny. Not every joke holds up, and there is a certain, I don't know. I don't want to say it's dated, but there are references that feel very of the time, not in a bad way per se. They are what they are.
I think that this one, compared to the next two, has the least amount of that. Like, the only one I can really think of is when they're actually in the movie theater laughing, and when you see that Platoon is playing. I mean, even if you don't know what Platoon is, you can sort of assume that just due to the nature of the movie, it's probably not a movie you should be laughing at. I didn't know what that was as a kid, and I just, asked my dad, and he's like, oh, it's a war movie. Okay, there you go, you get it.
Right. And so, I think that joke still holds up mostly because Platoon, they sort of took a gamble. Platoon is held up as a film. I mean, people still know about it and talk about it and are aware of what it is.
Yeah.
So a reference like that still works. So
what year did Platoon come out?
86.
Okay. So, I guess that movie theater was playing movies 2 years old, but...
Or the movie takes place in 1986.
Maybe. Ooh, twist. We haven't talked about the amazing and acting talents of Reggie Jackson.
Oh, yeah, right. He's actually really funny, I think, when he's doing his robotic walk.
He is really funny. I love how nobody notices him until he gets right to the queen.
That baseball scene is actually, I think, one of the best comedy set pieces I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, it's probably one of my favorite scenes in film history. And, I mean, I'm talking about film as a whole, not like, it has so much artistic merit. No, like...
entertainment-wise, you can go back to it again and again and again.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, like, I could just watch little scenes from this movie, and it would be hilarious. Like, it's...
And one thing, actually, I noticed about this one, I'm talking about it, how it's shallow, and I stand by that, but I think of the three, its story works the best.
Yeah.
Because it does flow in a fairly natural way, and it doesn't... the movie's designed to tell jokes and to make you laugh, but it doesn't feel like the movie stops to do that. It just, the story still flows fairly naturally, which is surprising considering the type of movie this is. It doesn't feel like it would have been easy for them to just say fuck story, just throw jokes at you.
Yeah,
and it would have been almost
like
acceptable.
a lot of movies do, but it doesn't do that. And call me crazy, I think the plot is pretty good actually. The whole idea that anybody can be an assassin, and
the best assassin is the one who doesn't know what he is.
Yeah, you just put this tracking on device or whatever on someone. Maybe they might have ripped that off. That may have been from,
I don't know.
Not that I know of, but I think that's actually pretty creative.
Yeah.
They could have probably made a serious movie if they wanted to.
Well, if they did, it would have had to have been like a science fiction film because of the nature of the device. But
I don't know. I've seen more bizarre things.
That's true.
Action films.
That's true. I think it really works well for the comedy though, because it's like
it's absurd, but you don't question it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, wait a minute, that's not gonna work.
Especially in a movie like this, where it's
where like O.J. Simpson goes like flying off the baseball stadium and stuff.
Right.
Like, spoiler alert to the end, but also I find that every single scene something's going on that's entertaining. There's no scene I can think of except one scene between Ricardo Montalban and the character Pap Schmer, I forget who plays him, and it's still entertaining. I'm just saying, like, it's not throwing jokes at you because it's not meant to. It's the only scene. It's about like 2 minutes long, establishing the main plot. That's it. And even then, it's still very entertaining.
And even then, it gives you like a moment to breathe. I guess.
Breathe,
and,
yeah.
That's the thing. The movie, like, it throws a lot of jokes at you, but it never feels like too much. If that makes any sense.
And you never feel like you're missing something. Like, say you're laughing really loud, and then someone else says something, and then you're like, "Oh wait, what did they say?" We were watching this. There are bits in the background that I didn't even notice were happening. There's a scene where Leslie Nielsen's just a close up of him, and in the background you see this like piece of cheese on his fridge or something slowly moving towards him. Which I've seen this movie. I literally have no idea how many times, so many times, and I've never noticed that. And that's just amazing that I can go back and like.
And that's actually remarkable.
Yeah.
That after so many viewings, there's still things that you can discover anew.
I thought that was hilarious. Yeah. Sometimes it's just extras in the background, which like in the second one, there's just some random guy waving his arms in the background. That's really funny. But no, I mean, I absolutely love this movie. It's in my top 5 favorite movies of all time because I mean, in that list, I break it down into different genres. My all-time favorite comedy movie. I mean, yeah, it may not be like the deepest movie ever, but it's just, I don't know. I really, really love this film, and it's a film that I always want to just have like in my not my like possession on me, but like it's the film I always want to have in my collection. I always want to have it there. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. I love the hell out of this movie.
Well, it's a film that's ultimate goal is to make the audience laugh as much as possible, and I think that they succeed completely. So, what more can you say about it?
Yeah.
All right.
For those of you who haven't seen it, definitely
check it out.
Like, there's no one I can't recommend this to. I mean, a lot of people think like, oh, it's just stupid guy humor, which kind of, but like, even if you don't like just kind of like light humor as you call it, it's still very entertaining. Like, there's not I don't know. There's not a moment that drags. You can find something that's funny in it.
Yeah, I agree. So, do you want to move on to Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear?
Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear. Do you want to describe the plot for this one?
Sure. Basically, well, if I recall correctly...
Because you only watched them a couple hours ago. But...
well, this one, the plot is not harder to follow, but it feels less prominent. It's second to the jokes. But basically, Frank and Jane have since broken up due to his dedication to the police squad. And she's now with somebody else, but then it turns out that he is basically plotting to sabotage...
Hap Schmer.
Thank you.
Wait, Habsburg. Sorry, Pap Schmer is the guy in the first one. Habsburg.
Right.
Sorry, I can't keep track of all these dynamic characters.
But he's planning to sabotage a famous... what's the guy's name?
Meinheimer.
He's planning to sabotage
played by the late and great Richard Griffiths.
Yep.
Rest in peace. Like, we'll get into that later, but yeah.
He's trying to sabotage Meinheimer's speech about the importance of renewable energy sources, clean energy like solar power and stuff, in favor of nuclear power, so that his evil nuclear power friends can continue to thrive, and only Frank Drebin can stop them and save solar power.
You know, I think you were mentioning this. Out of all the plots of the movies, this one is the most kind of relevant. Actually,
yeah,
it's actually very. It actually has something to say, which I think
particularly because they mentioned the electric car thing, and there's a lot of like sort of conspiracy theory things, but people who genuinely believe that we should logically people should be driving electric cars, like normal people driving electric cars by now, but big oil companies don't want that, so they have fought to keep them underground and not branch out. And yet, this is what the second movie is about, and it's like played for complete silliness. And watching it, it's almost, especially now, it's like, wow, this is really strikingly, it's almost satirical without even meaning to be.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. To me, it's the way that these films can hold up.
Yeah.
Like, they talk about issues that are still relevant to this very day.
Actually, that's something I forgot about the first film.
Yeah.
It opens with like a bunch of terrorists meeting about how to plan a terrorist act. And the third movie is about a terrorist as well, and it's really silly comedy. You would never see a movie like that made these days. I think that's really interesting.
No, not at all. And there was a scene, I forget which one it was in, but it involved, it was in the first one. It was Reggie Jackson in the baseball stadium with a gun. And you know what? You probably wouldn't see that today. They'd be like,
not in a comedy like
in a
that,
baseball stadium with a gun? Like sue those filmmakers. They can't show a guy with a gun.
Especially in something where it's supposed to be like a silly comedy. Because they just...
Exactly. Like, that's not funny. Don't make fun of it. But
I think that's actually really interesting. There's actually a lot of movies from the 80s that sort of like... The way they deal with terrorism, it's not disrespectful or anything, but it's just you wouldn't be able to do it now. And I find
exactly. Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do it nowadays.
Getting back to Naked Gun 2.5. In general, I think it falls, and the third one does as well, plight to one of the common sequel problems, which is basically it's harder to make audiences laugh to the same types of jokes a second time. It's kind of like horror movies, and they can't scare the audience with the same tricks to the same effect. And I think that is starting to take effect here. It's still a good film. It's still pretty damn funny. But a lot of the jokes they're not the same as the jokes in the first one, but they're very similar, same vein type of humor, and they're just not as effective to me. There are still some great moments, but it's just not the same. It's not the same. It just won't make you laugh as hard.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the plot is more it's more relevant in this one. It's not as like
prevalent.
It's not as big as the first one. Like the first one has a lot of like big scenes in it that you really remember. And here, most of what you remember is like, I mean, yeah, there are some little gags and there are some really good set pieces, but there's a lot of like dialogue gags and stuff, and like just the like, you know, play on words and stuff, which is fine. It's really funny, but no, I didn't like the second one as much when I first saw it. Again, I was younger. I didn't understand a lot of the jokes because they were mainly, you know, adult humor. You know, much older now, I get them, and I think they're really, really funny. I think Nilsson still brings a lot of charm and charisma to the character. Again, he still completely holds the film. Yeah. Like, everyone who comes back still does a good job.
Oh, yeah, that's one thing, too, is, like, nobody ever got, like, no one of the main cast ever feels like they were phoning it in, ever.
Yeah, no. And the bad guy, who I forget his name, and I feel really bad about that, but the actor who played him, but he's not as kind of like large as Ricardo Montalban's character, but like I like how he's sort of smaller, and like most of the comedy scenes with him just involve his reactions to stuff that Frank says, like be it like facial expressions or just like him kind of like
I also feel like the plot,
at him.
Even though there's like the sort of stuff about, you know, nuclear companies and big oil companies is very different.
Yeah.
The basic plot structure is almost exactly the same as the first one, with, you know, the evil villain, but, you know, they don't know he's evil and he's romancing the romantic lead.
Yeah, they even do the same reveal with him stepping into the shadow. They do that in the first one as well.
And it's like, and I think that only hurts the film as far as living up to the first one, because the first one does all that, but so much better that it just sort of swallows the second one.
Yep, and again, I still actually really like the second one. I probably love the second one actually, just as far as it goes. Like the first one doesn't need a sequel, but this one, it's still really funny. Like you could pop this one or the first one on and you'd still have a great time with it. I mean, I don't really think anyone was dying to see the continuation of the epic saga of Frank Drebin. I mean, I was, but you know, so like a second one coming out, like it may seem bizarre, but like I don't know, I embrace it. Yeah, like I really like Richard Griffiths in this, and I know a lot of people know the actor for playing Uncle Vernon in the Harry Potter films, which, don't get me wrong, he is great in those, but I think he's absolutely hysterical in this. And you know what? I
think one of the maybe the funniest gag in the movie is just when he. You know what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil it because it is really funny.
Yeah, and I think in a weird way he really shows off his acting skills in it, because he's playing two characters, which that's not a spoiler. That's
Yeah, it's the plot.
But like, no, it really shows off his his acting abilities, and I think that's great. And yeah, no, I mean, obviously we respect the actor, and rest in peace and all that, and it's a shame. But no, this is a lot of people just know him for Harry Potter, and I know I've seen other films with him, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, unfortunately. But he's one of those guys who like you do see him quite often, but I kind of always remember him as Dr. Meinheimer from this film. Like that's probably my fondest memory of the actor.
So overall, what would you think you'd give this film?
I don't know, because I still think it's. I mean, you and I may not agree on this. I still think it's funnier than like 3/4 of like the comedies out there. Just the comedies out there, and I would still pick this over any Will Ferrell movie, any Adam Sandler movie, probably any Kevin Smith movie. If I'm depending on what I'm looking for in a film, and again, it's one of those films that it would just makes your day feel better. Like you watch it and you have a great time with it. This is one, like, unlike the first one, I do think some of the jokes don't work as well. I still think they're really funny. It has one of the funniest things I've probably ever seen with Leslie Nielsen and George Kennedy in the sex shop, and George Kennedy, George Kennedy with like the wind blower with the giant dildo at the end, like that. I don't know why I think that's just fucking brilliant, but I had a blast watching this, and while it's not a 10 out of 10 the first one, it's still like a 9 out of 10. Okay. And the only reason it's not 9.5 is because I do think that I feel like it could have done more with the plot, but actually, you know what? Fuck it, it's a 9.5. I don't care. It's again, I'm not judging these movies like comparing them to like high art or anything, but no, it's still. It's not as good as the first one, but it's still right up there. And I think the more I watch it, the more I like it. Because I went from not really liking it when I was younger to like really, really loving it now. So yeah, it's a 9.5 for me.
Okay, I'd probably give it a B. I think mainly because you can't not compare it to the first one. And the first one, while it is shallow, it's so funny, entertaining, and just so memorable in its humor that you don't care. Whereas this one, I don't think it's on that level, and it's sort of the weaknesses start to show more in addition to it having its own weaknesses. So it comes out to a B. It's still highly enjoyable, and I would still definitely recommend it to people, but it's not on par with the first one.
Yep.
So 33 1/3, the final insult.
Yeah.
The end.
Actually, I noticed that this film isn't called The Naked Gun. What 33 1/3? It's called Naked Gun 33 1/3. It's like, really? Was the like really too much?
It's like in Social Network, man. Drop the much cleaner.
No, it's not, because not when the first two are called The Naked Gun.
Yeah, I know, it doesn't.
It's like for Evil Dead, The Evil Dead, and then Evil Dead 2 should be called The Evil Dead 2.
Terminator does that as well.
Yeah, because there's two Terminators.
Well, it's the Terminator and then Terminator 2.
Well, there's two Terminators in the second one, so...
Yeah, I don't think that's why. Why isn't it called Terminators, then?
Well, because he already did that with Aliens, so he didn't want to...
Yeah, because James Cameron was known for his originality. We're getting off topic.
Okay.
That is weird, though. Like, it doesn't, like...
that is bizarre, and I don't know, maybe that's just how it is to some sources, but I think that's how it's listed. I don't know, I may be wrong, but that... I don't know. I find that very bizarre. Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah. Do you want to describe the plot, or should I? Do you remember the plot?
I'll give it a go. Frank Drebin has married Jane, and because of his commitment to her as a husband, he's decided to retire from the police force. But police squad, sorry. But he still misses it, and you can tell that's where he really wants to be. And when he finds out a terrorist plot is hatched, he decides to go back undercover and find the man responsible, and Anna Nicole Smith's in there somehow.
Yeah.
He goes to prison undercover to get the terrorist, basically.
Yeah, Rocco Dillon is a terrorist who's in prison, and him and Pap Schmear from the first one, which
was an awesome detail.
I really like that they brought back a character, because he's in the first one, but he doesn't really do anything. He's in about 2 scenes, and then you never see him again. And then in the third one, he comes back. He's like, it's me, and that I don't know. I think that's really cool. Also, I was noticing that certain like actors who have smaller roles kind of return in the movies, like like the secretary from the first film, Ricardo Montalban's secretary. She's like a secretary at a clinic actually in this one. So I like to think it's the same character, and that's what happened after Ricardo Montalban came to his end in the first one.
It's not really a spoiler given the type of movie it is. I mean,
Yeah.
what? Frank Drebin wins? Yeah, that's why they made 2 sequels.
But yeah, so Frank goes back undercover, and yeah. So I have a bit of a confession. When I was younger, when I first saw this, I keep saying that because I watched these. I grew up. I literally grew up on these movies, and they're probably the only films growing up that I would still watch at whatever age I was at, and I'd get something new out of it each time. But I really, really loved the third one when I first saw it. I thought it was absolutely hysterical, and this was when I was aged like maybe like, I don't know, like 10, 11, 12 maybe. So a lot of the jokes really kind of, I thought were just really, really funny because a lot of them are like visual gags and like they're really kind of goofy and they're nowhere near as smart as the first one. So I liked this one, not as much as the first one. I liked it more than the second one. And I hadn't seen it for a couple of years actually. And then watching it again, when we watched it, I was wrong. Now, don't get me wrong. I still really like the third one, and I don't think it's a bad film. And we may have some debate with that, but
no, I don't think it's bad either.
It's not bad at all. It's not as good as the first one, obviously. And it's not as good as the second one, and I think a lot of that has to do with this change in director. It's no longer David Zucker. It is now Peter Siegel, who went on to do Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps.
The Longest Yard,
50 First Dates.
And he did one other Sandler film, but they were like
Anger Management.
Which are 3 of the okayer ones. Yeah,
so like I don't think this guy's a bad director. He also went on to do Get Smart, which I thought was a shameless ripoff of the Naked Gun, because they actually used several jokes. I know that Get Smart was based on the Don Adams TV
I see
show.
What you're saying, though.
But I felt the two.
He ripped off his. That's kind of interesting. His career came full circle, and he ripped off himself.
Yeah, and I really don't care for Get Smart, but you know that's another discussion for another day.
I don't think we'll be having the Get Smart marathon anytime soon. So.
Good. I don't want to. But yeah, like the film, it feels different. It doesn't. Mm-hmm. It feels a lot cheaper, which the
second one felt a bit lower in production values than the first one as well, but not. Only in like a few scenes was like, that doesn't. It looks a little cheap. This one, the whole thing.
And the story was a lot smaller scale. Like it didn't require like big.
And it just feels lazier in general.
Like this, like there are some god awful green screen effects, which that may have been intentional, but like this doesn't really seem like the type of movie that does that. The acting from the side characters is a bit worse. And Nicole Smith, who
awful.
That girl is so hot, but her acting's
well. The thing is too is like she's hot, but then she tries to act sexy, and she's so monotone that it's like you're not hot anymore. Like she comes in.
I still think she's pretty or was pretty damn hot.
Yeah, if you have
rest in peace, Anne Nicole Smith. But what? She's dead too.
I just it was the way you were like. I think she's pretty hot, or was pretty hot. I thought that was funny.
Okay. Yeah, I think not all the jokes hold up. Not all of them are as funny as I thought they were when I was younger. I really liked the bit at the Academy Awards and just how they kind of like spoof the stuff there. The whole plot is that he's the terrorists. They're going to blow up the Academy Awards, which in itself I think is kind of funny. I love the gag with Weird Al Yankovic, how he's getting out of his limo and fans are just going crazy. Like, why would he be at the Academy Awards? Weird Al Yankovic has a small role in each film, and I think that's just amazing.
Which is probably the strangest running joke in any comedy, but I love it.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's no stranger than UHF, really. So.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't have a whole lot to say about this movie. Like, I wasn't disappointed watching it again. I realized that it wasn't as good as I had originally thought it was in my mind, and I'm not upset about it. I still really love this trilogy. I still think it's one of the most solid trilogies out there, right next to Lord of the Rings, and and yeah. I don't know. Your thoughts?
The opening scene is incredible.
Yeah, the Untouchables parody.
The Untouchables parody of a Battleship Potemkin reference is incredible.
I was actually I was in stitches at that scene. Like that scene is so funny.
But then the rest of the movie is the humor. It's either borrowing the same type of humor from the first and second movie, and it's not nearly as funny. the comedy is generally much more broad and less intelligent. Like you mentioned, the supporting characters are pretty bad, and also it actually follows.
Well, it's really only Anna Nicole Smith. I mean,
that's true.
She was nominated for a Razzie for this role.
That's fair.
I think we both have mixed feelings about the Razzies, but whatever. So was O.J. Simpson. I think that had a lot to do with that whole O.J. trial thing, which I don't think he's bad in it.
No, like, me neither. He's fine.
Yeah, he's it sounds really weird, but he's really likable in the films.
Yeah,
like
he
as
is.
Nordberg.
The other thing too, there's a lot more jokes in this one I found that fell flat. Like in the first one, there was very rarely parts where we weren't laughing. Second one, there was a few. The third one, there were like stretches almost, where we were sort of like, okay, we're just watching, and. There's a lot more dated references. Like I said, it actually follows the same pattern in a way that the Austin Powers movies did. By the time they got to the third one, amazing opening scene, funniest part of the whole movie, and then the rest is downhill. Not that it's terrible. There's still a lot of good laughs.
the movie within a movie.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great scene. And then the rest of Austin Powers is just shamelessly ripping off the first two.
And I like Goldmember a lot, and I like this one a lot. And you said it's going into guilty pleasure territory, which I don't think it's as guilty pleasure as something like
Troll 2. Just gonna say neither do I. But...
yeah, bring everything back to Troll 2, but yeah.
I do.
No, but like, this is the one that I would show people. I would show maybe younger kids this one. Like, I mean, it's not like I'm going around watching movies with younger kids, but I don't know. Say I was looking after like my younger cousin or something, and like I was like, oh, here, let's watch. I don't say those words, Jesus Christ. And I was like, oh, hey, let's watch a Naked Gun movie. I'd probably throw in the third one because it's the one that like a wider, like it's not as smart. So I'm not saying like it's the one that like idiots should watch, but like it's the one that you can watch and not have to really have a high level of IQ. I guess.
Right. It's very like the slapstick's much more obvious. The physical gags are less clever, and it's more just like they fell down. They got hit. They get, like... And not to say, like, a lot of the humor in the first two is like that, but it just feels much more clever and well-staged. In this one, it was just like... And it's also just sort of lamer in this one. Like, there's that part where you see a body on like a body, like, planted against the bus, and the implication is that she run him over.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
See, that's funny, yeah.
And then he slides off, and he's like, ow.
Yeah,
like,
that
and you have ruined the joke.
There's a scene where Jane sprays the guy with, like, mace, and then tasers him, and then he gets hit by a bus. That's funny. And then it shows him getting up after going, ooh, wow, that hurt. Like,
it almost felt
that ruins it.
Yeah,
that's like don't show him alive.
They're trying
That's
to be
stupid.
more PC. Like, we don't want to offend anybody. It's like...
Yeah, which
is weird, because, like...
They didn't have to.
Exactly.
Like, who is really offended by an attempted rapist being hit by a bus? Like,
and it's not like
is someone really offended by that?
It's not like a series that... I know there are other series that eventually, wimped out. Like, the RoboCop series eventually went from R to PG-13. But there was...
Die Hard.
Yeah, but there was controversy.
Fourth one.
But like with RoboCop, there was controversy about it being violent in the first place. Was anybody like Naked Gun is destroying the youth of America? I don't think so.
I'm sure there was someone out there somewhere.
Well, fuck that guy.
Yeah, screw him or her.
Yeah.
Or both, whatever.
I mean, I still thought it was fun in parts. There are some really like the opening scene is amazing, and there are Leslie Nielsen's still great. There are still lines and sight gags that are really funny.
Leslie Nielsen, he was like in his 70s, I think, when this one was being made. And you know what? He puts it all into it. Like, he's still very, very agile, I guess. Like, he's...
and the funny thing is, as much as I'm criticizing it, I'm going to end up giving it the same score I gave the Airplane 2. Airplane 1, sorry.
Airplane 2. Have you seen Airplane 2?
Years ago. I don't remember.
That's another marathon, even though there's only 2. But...
Yeah, sure. We can watch the airport movies as well if you want. That's up to like 6, I think, because there's 4 of those.
George Candy's in those, eh?
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. That can be the connection.
Everything links back. Poetry.
Yeah, no, I do really like the third one. And you know what? I think both of us had a really fun time watching these movies.
It was a good marathon.
Yeah, as our last marathon, for those who are keeping up with the Epic No Refunds saga, was the Evil Dead movies, and I think we had a lot more fun watching these than the Evil Dead films.
We did.
Because the Evil Dead films you expect to be like, oh wow, look at the craziness, how fun it is, but we were just sort of like, okay, like sitting there. But these ones, we were constantly laughing, like.
And not that they're like comparable series, but
no, I'm not comparing them.
But the best Evil Dead movie, I think, is only better than the worst Naked Gun movie, and that's it. I give it a C+ because I think movies like this are only as good as the sum of their parts, and here the parts are lacking for the not for the most part, but in large part.
Yep.
So still entertaining, but could have been a lot better.
Yeah. Yep. So Evil Dead 3. Oh my god.
We're back, Sam Raimi.
No. The Naked Gun 33 1/3, the final insult. I would probably give. I don't know. If you had asked me before seeing this, I would have given it like a 9. But like now, I still had a lot of fun with it, and this series as a whole. Remember when you did your post about watching movies with your dad?
Mm-hmm.
You know, very moving post. You know,
Thank you.
very well done. But these are the kind of movies that I would watch, and still do with my dad. You know, these are the ones that him and I bond over, and they mean a lot to me. And like I feel like they've helped my upbringing in a way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like these movies and like the Monty Python films and stuff. These were the kind of films that I grew up on, and looking back, yeah, maybe some of them aren't as good as I maybe remember them. But I can't take away the fact of the impact they've had on me and like what they mean to me. So Naked Gun 3, I'll probably just give it like an 8, which is a good score. Probably it's not deserving of it, but you know what? I stand by because I can't bring myself to give a Naked Gun film under an 8.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I still think it's very, very funny, and I still think it's good, but it's not. It's not as good as the first two, but it still has some great moments in it.
That was beautiful, man.
Thank you.
Still a great series overall. I'd highly recommend them. Let me give this asterisk. Watch the first one. And if you think the first one is funny, watch the next two. But if you don't think it's funny, don't bother.
Because these are movies that I think everyone will get something out of, but not everyone will respond to them as we do. And because everyone has their own opinion, everyone has a different sense of humor. So you may watch the first one and be like, I don't think that's funny. That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. You're wrong, but you know you're entitled to think that. So if you don't think the first one's funny, that's fine. Don't watch the other ones, but
give the first one a shot.
Yeah, definitely give the first one a shot. It's probably the best.
If nothing else,
movie,
it's
if you even want to call it a spoof movie.
It's undoubtedly a comedy classic. So if you enjoy film as
or if you're a Nielsen fan,
yeah, that's true. You owe it to yourself.
Yeah, really. I mean, yeah, like Nielsen is, this is why I love the guy, and he'll always be one of my favorite actors. Just based on this series alone.
I think that's a good place to end it. Thank you for listening.
Woke up this morning.